Senator Hyde-Smith.
Thank you, Chairman Durbin and Ranking Member Grassley. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here today to speak for the women who are experiencing these situations. My concerns are a lot like Senator Capito's. As we consider this reauthorization, I certainly want us to look at what I feel like is an overlooked population, the survivors of intimate partner violence who reside in rural areas. It's a lot harder to get access to things. These are the particular challenges faced by so many victims and survivors of domestic violence in my state of Mississippi. Before even making the decision to seek help, these survivors, most often women, have to overcome cultural norms which prioritize family privacy, which is very important in rural areas, traditional gender roles, and keeping their families together. When they do decide to get help, they'll have to travel long distances to receive it and will have fewer transportation options to get there in many instances. By one account, more than 25% of the women in rural settings reside at least 40 miles from the closest service provider, compared to less than 1% in rural and urban areas. Perhaps the most daunting due to geographic isolation, these survivors, they don't have the ability to remain anonymous that they wish that they would have when they're seeking their help, and they're so concerned of what the community will think of them. All of us in Congress can agree that our goal should be to ensure that these women in rural areas, and indeed all victims of sexual abuse, domestic violence, and stalking, are protected and they receive the services that they need. To this end, these programs are funded generously each and every year by the Appropriations Committee, which I serve on. Earlier this year, we also came together as a chamber and unanimously adopted a measure to significantly increase deposits into the Crime Victims Fund. This cooperative achievement will go a long way to sustaining the fund over time, but we need to harness that same cooperative spirit now. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, a time when we should come together to develop bipartisan relationships to address this and have meaningful chances that this will be signed into law by the President. But we're not yet there, and that's extremely frustrating. The other chamber this year passed a reauthorization bill that has little chance of reaching 60 votes in this chamber. That bill is yet to overcome objectives from prosecutors who fear it will limit their abilities to successfully pursue repeat offenders of domestic violence. It is yet to address concerns that it could destabilize some states' unemployment systems. It has yet to address provisions that may reduce giant grant eligibility for providers serving victims of elder abuse or commercial sexual exploitation. And ironically, the bill's gender identity provisions can make it more challenging for grant recipients to best to serve the rape victims and sex trafficking victims for whom they provide space to heal emotionally and physically. Therefore, I call on this committee and Senate leadership to adopt the reauthorization bill this month that embodies language on which we agree, including a greater emphasis on serving victims in rural areas. In the meantime, I believe we should continue to work together in good faith to resolve the remaining areas where we've yet to reach consensus. We need to do it for the sake of survivors, of victims of domestic and sexual violence everywhere. Thank you for allowing me to be here to speak on such an important issue. I certainly appreciate it.